Now, as you jump into this world of subqueries, I want to make sure you got your eyes wide open because you are inevitably going to bump up against or run headlong against someone who is going to tell you that a subquery should be a join statement and you shouldn't be using subqueries, you should be using joins. You'll meet other people who say joins are so complex, why don't you use a subquery? So let's talk about subquery versus join. It is true, most subqueries can be rewritten as join queries. There are those exceptions. There are some things you can only do with subqueries. However, most situations, if you're using a subquery, you could rewrite it as a join query. So you're asking, which one should I use? Now, if you ask most database developers, this is what you're likely to hear from them. Joins perform faster. Everybody's convinced joins always perform faster. Subqueries are much easier to read. The database developer that you're talking to is going to fall into one of two camps here. They're going to say, I like queries that are easier to read, easier to troubleshoot, easier to maintain, use subqueries. Others are going to say, no. I like to wring every millisecond I can out of this database. We have to because of the workload. Always use joins, they're faster. The fact is that under different conditions, neither one of those is necessarily true. What does Microsoft say about their product and subqueries and joins? Well, according to their MSDN documentation, there is usually no performance difference between a statement that includes a subquery and a semantically equivalent version that does not. So what they're saying is, most of the time, a subquery and a correctly styled join query are going to be roughly no big deal performance difference. Now, they do concede, though, if that subquery is checking for the existence of data, then a join's usually going to yield better performance because of the way the join can use indexes and so forth, and you're really starting to drill in under the hood here. Okay, so I still haven't answered your question. I've just kind of muddied the water the more I've stomped around in it here. So here's the bottom line. If you prefer to use a subquery, use it. If it makes sense, if you can get the data out, keep in mind, the first thing they're paying you for as a developer is to get them the data they want when they want it. Now, I can hear some of you saying, whoa. They're also paying you to get it the most efficiently. They are, but I've never been paid for being efficient as much as I have been paid for meeting deadlines. And I'm not saying be inefficient. Don't hear that. But I am saying if a subquery makes sense to you, if you are confident in the data you're getting back and you can verify your data and it makes more sense to you, then by all means use it. But at some point, you need to compare its performance to an equivalent join query, because if the subquery is taking 3 times longer than the join query, then by all means, you should be running the join query, because databases just simply get larger and larger and busier over time, and you don't want to be running the really slow guy. Now, some developers out there will even concede a slight performance hit if the query is easier to read and easier to understand, because, believe it or not, you're going to be back in there hacking on that code in a few months because it's a reorganization, a change of something at the company. And also note that different database products will behave differently. Once you get all this down and you become, Captain Subquery on SQL Server, don't go arguing with an Oracle person about how they behave, because they may very well behave differently on the Oracle platform. The optimizers are different between different database products. Just make sure you stay in your own little backyard there and you'll be fine. Subqueries versus joins, which is better? There's no real answer to that. Generally, most people are going to say the joins are safer because they're always going to tend to run faster automatically, but that does not mean subqueries can't be used or should not be used. So just test. If you're going to use subqueries, go nerd out a little bit on some of the documentation out in TechNet and MSDN and so forth. So anyway, just wanted you to know there is a debate out there. You will run into it between subqueries and joins.